Mr. Secretary General, please come and take the floor. It is an honor to have you.
Thank you, Betty Liu, for kind introduction. And thank you very much for all distinguished heads of state and government ministers. And I'd like to recognize Her Excellency Angela Merkel, Chancellor of Germany, and Mr. Mark Zuckerberg, CEO of Facebook, and Excellencies. If I speak longer than the limited time, please allow me. This was written by Liz Kingo, so just blame the UN Global Compact. Again, thank you for joining us today. We meet just one day after this historic adoption of Sustainable Development Agenda to end extreme poverty, fight inequality and injustice, and protect our planet. This gathering brings together all the partners, dedicated partners. We need to realize these goals. Businesses, investors, and civil society representatives and government officials. In a sense, September 26th, today, is even more important than September 25th, yesterday, because today we begin to work. You can write many conventions or treaties, but implementation, that's more important. So this is the day we begin. We are starting on solid footing. SDGs were forged from the most inclusive policy dialogue we have ever organized. Governments must take the lead in living up to their pledges. At the same time, I'm counting on the private sector to drive success. Now is the time to mobilize the global business community as never before. The case is clear. Realizing the Sustainable Development Goals will improve the environment for doing business and building markets. Trillions of dollars in public and private funds are to be redirected towards the SDGs, creating huge opportunities for responsible companies to deliver solutions. Ladies and gentlemen, the SDGs are unprecedented in their ambition, but the fundamental way that business can contribute remain unchanged. First, companies need to do business responsibly and then pursue new opportunities. In short, companies must not make our world's problems worse before they try to make them better. We would be closer to the world we want if companies everywhere took baseline actions like respecting employee rights, not polluting land, sea and air, and punishing corruptions. Our UN Global Compact is a starting point for any company seeking to advance the SDGs. The Global Compact's 10 principles provide the universal definition for responsible business. With over 8,000 participants in 160 countries, we are bringing principled business to markets everywhere. I thank the many UN Global Compact champions here, and I urge others to join. It's time to transform business models so they meet the people's needs. This will also drive corporate growth and success. Many of you are taking this leap, tapping into new markets and developing solutions, setting ambitious corporate goals and inspired by the SDGs, letting sustainability drive innovation and investment. Companies are starting to set the goals around the carbon and the water neutrality, 100% renewable energy usage, paying a living wage, and inclusive supply chains. Today, we will hear new commitments and partnerships to spur broader action. I hope we will reach a critical mass beyond the leaders in this room. To help achieve this, the SDG Compass was launched today by the Global Reporting Initiative, the UN Global Compact, and the World Business Council for Sustainable Development. It guides businesses on aligning strategies and reporting with the SDGs. That will mobilize even more action. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the United Nations has transformed its relationship with the private sector in the past decade and a half. Many governments also support the complementary role that business can play to advance sustainable markets and build trust. Now I call for even stronger commitment to partnership, especially on our most pressing challenges. In the realm of peace and good governance, companies are taking actions that help, like fostering interreligious understanding in the workplace and enacting zero-tolerance policies on corruption. Under the Global Compact Business for Rule of Law framework, companies are creating databases of laws and automating birth registration systems. A strong rule of law is an essential foundation for advancing sustainable development, and it provides predictability and transparency that is so important to the private sector. On the grave refugee crisis, companies are making critical pledges beyond philanthropy, using their business to help through hiring, supply chains, and technology, and more. On climate change, responsible companies are calling for a meaningful universal climate agreement. The Climate Change Conference in Paris this December will be critical. I call on businesses to help realize our vision of a low-carbon future to help planet and all people. The climate change may be one of 17 goals. That is number 13. But if we do not address this climate change, all remaining 16 goals will be ruined. It has a destructive power. Therefore, it's absolutely necessary that we must have universal, applicable to all the people, all the countries in the world, to have a climate agreement. This Global Compact's Caring for Climate initiative is a perfect starting point. It stands for a price on carbon, science-based targets, and pushing back against negative lobbying. You can show the world that green business is good business. You must have heard what Pope Francis said yesterday. This is a moral imperative. And political leaders, this is a political responsibility. For business leaders, political and moral responsibility. I bear both political and moral responsibility. The 2030 agenda holds a promise of better, safer, greener future for all. We will achieve transformational change only with the help of responsible business, investment, and civil society. Thank you for your leadership and partnership as we embark on a new era of a full opportunity, promise, and hope. I thank you for your attention and leadership. Thank you very much.